What's up, everybody? Thralls Metal here once again. I'm Necrotic.
I'm Jammin John.
And we have yet another album review for you. A whole bunch this fucking weekend. We definitely wanted to go over some more underground stuff as well, because we had some pretty big releases. We had some pretty underground ones that seemed really interesting, and this is definitely one of them. So we are going to go over the debut full-length from Ignominy, Imminent Collapse.
This comes out on the 10th of March on Transcending Obscurity Records. The band was formed in 2019 in Montreal, Canada. I reviewed their debut EP on an episode of What's John Jammin' way back when I did What's John Jammin', which I plan on doing again. Not important for now. This band is heavily influenced by the likes of Gorguts, Ulcerate, Immolation, just to name a few. Their guitarist Phil reached out to me a couple days ago and said, "Hey man, do you mind reviewing the new Ignominy since you reviewed the EP?" And I was like, sure, why not?
This is honestly my first exposure to the band. I had heard one track that I believe Transcending Obscurity put on YouTube, and I didn't actually get a chance to hear the EP at all, so this was pretty much like a fresh take for me on this band, and holy shit, this band is dark. My God, listening to this, it was like some twisted, nightmarish doppelganger of Gojira, but of course mixed in, as you said, Immolation. I also got vitriol and alterage in there.
Yep.
Man, we are going to use the word dissonance a lot, because holy shit, this is dissonant.
I mean, when I first found these guys, it was while I was on a dissonant death metal kick, so it makes sense that they only continued in that vein. However, I believe they got even more dissonant from the EP release. Kicks right off with the song Frantic Appeasement, which, as you may have guessed, starts out really gross, dark, and dissonant.
And frantic.
Chuggy, kind of like a nightmare-style dissonance, so to speak, but punchier. Super violent vocals.
Dude, the vocals are awesome on here. Mm-hmm. This dude projects so well. Honestly, I was drawing a lot of comparisons to Chris Reifert, from Autopsy.
Mm-hmm.
There's a dramatic flair, but there's a fucking power behind them. They're not even growls, they're more roars.
Roars are just yelling at you.
Dude, it's violent, but it works with the music, which, man, all right, the guitar work in here is just kind of crazy and all over the place. Lots of bottom-heavy chugs. Occasionally they bend and slide. They sound murky and disgusting, and the guitar tone is thick. It's just gross sounding. But they're generally accented with squeals and pinches and, I don't know, maybe someone holding a rabid badger to the guitar strings and letting them gnaw on them or scrape them. They make some horrifying soundscapes with, honestly, just the guitars on here.
There's not a lot of atmosphere outside of guitars, although there are a couple of interludes that are just pretty much nightmarish sounds. The second one, most specifically, the robots are coming for you, look out.
Yeah, it's like a sampler size, of Portal's entire existence. They're creepy, they're unsettling, but honestly, the music is way more creepy and unsettling because it incorporates that atmosphere without really anything extra. Because, when you listen to the production, you can hear every instrument involved really well. It's compressed, but compressed to a level where it's not done to just polish it up too much.
Yeah.
It still sounds raw and gritty, but you can make out everything. And there's probably some things in here you don't want to make out because they're fucking creepy. But honestly, one of my favorite things on here was when they incorporated melodies on here. Namely the song Viscera. Viscera, I think, is probably my favorite track on here. And this band, of course, Dissonance is the thing we're going to be bringing up a lot. It's chuggy, it's heavy, it's just disgusting, but occasionally it can be very tuneful. And Viscera, I think, was a great example. You have these sort of bending, sliding, not necessarily dissonant riffs. They're creepy sounding, but there's a tune to them, and they really resonated with me. I think, honestly, I thought of Alice in Chains for just a second before the nightmare fully kicked in.
And it's those melodies that lead to more things like groove, which is found in Visceral and Nightmare Bacteria, where it kind of leans away from just that chaoticness that you would find in, say, Ulcerate, and leads more toward a really kind of hefty, chuggy groove.
Yeah, actually, towards the end of Visceral, the middle section, it builds up really well. The atmosphere, the tension, it's kind of gross. It's just sort of creeping up on you. And then the whole middle section, there's some sections that are just like batshit crazy. Like, I can't tell you what exactly they're playing. Like, they just took a bandsaw to the fucking guitars and the basses. Like, that's horrifying.
That's perfect. Put it in there.
Put it in there.
It's the doomy breakdown that's in Viscera that is probably my favorite.
Dude, it bends, it slithers, it oozes. Like, I mean, honestly, some of it is kind of comparable to, again, a more nightmarish version of another band like Crowbar. Just a big, gnarly, sludgy riff with like just gross bend to it.
Reminiscence of Hatred was another one I think that stuck out to both of us. Again, decidedly dark intro. These guys love to start out each song just with like, are you creeped out yet? Because you will be.
Sleep with the lights on forever.
But this one gets it's a lot faster. It gets almost grindy, I think, at one point. I caught like a smidgen of like a blackened napalm death.
Yes. Black metal, like, they do like to drone on, like, dissonant tremolo riffs. And, again, that sort of creates almost like this, like, TV static played very loud sort of atmosphere. Like, it's kind of disorienting. It's very unsettling. But I was really honed in on the drum work at this point because the drum work was just fucking nuts. And the drum production here, I really like. This drum kit has a good sound. Like, it has a bit of a click to the bass drum, but there's a punch to it. And that's what really matters when the snare is very prominent. It doesn't get lost in the din of noise, which, believe me, there can be a din of noise at times on this album. But I like the fact that it switches it up. Like, it doesn't lay on that dissonance too much in this song. It actually kind of pivots to, like, a more straightforward death metal tremolo, like maybe more reminiscent of, like, Incantation or, Morbid Angel, and it kind of sticks there and kind of builds the dissonance around it because, generally everything is accented with like a bit of dissonant, creepy, atonal stuff. Even the beginning of this song starts off with like isolated, like atonal single chords. Like, I don't know, I mean, they're creepy. They're flat out creepy. They sound like they were recorded in a barn that is full of maybe hay, but definitely bodies.
Sure. The song Nightmare Bacteria, I actually really love this song too. This is full of sick, dark groove, which oftentimes is difficult to locate in some of these songs, but this one it's heavy as fuck and very horrifying.
Yeah, the atmospheric break, like after you get to a section with these broken down blast beats, there is a section that comes out afterwards that it gets uneasily kind of quiet and just kind of creepy, and then you have this tribal drum sort of build up and another really cool moment as far as the drums, because I really like this transition. But this was one that I thought had, again, a great balance of riffs and atmosphere, because there's some like really solid hooks on here, as well as all the horrifying dissonance you could possibly ask for. And in terms of like just flat out explosiveness, I mean, you have Defaulting Genetics, which is just a fucking monster with weird ascending and descending dissonant tremolo riffs. Like, they don't even sound very natural. And Closed Mind Visuals, which I had to look at that title twice, like wait, no, that's not the Meshuggah song.
Yes, it's definitely not Meshuggah. I thought the same thing when I opened it up a couple of days ago. I thought, that's oh god, no.
Which is a Meshuggah EP. Oh my god.
It is.
It's all connected.
Yeah. But that song is very airy, very spacey, and it has little like isolated pockets in it, like isolated groove sections
and isolated blast sections. Like, it has these like little mini fits, and man, like this album is a lot to absorb, honestly. Like, I mean, I like dissonant, atonal stuff, but generally dissonance for me is something that I like as more of a seasoning versus like a good chunk of the main course. And a good chunk of this definitely lays on the dissonance. I do love it when they blend the two. Like, blending the two, giving like a cool, just dark, sinister riff or a dark, sinister melody that isn't necessarily dissonant, and then sort of moving into that territory as like a harsh transition. It's awesome. It's unsettling. It actually kind of moves like horror movies, like especially Visceral. Visceral is just got this really cool build to it, and the transitions into the spiraling madness. But songs like Frantic, Appeasement and Defaulting Genetics, sometimes I think they lay on the dissonance a little bit too much, and it's kind of hard to follow. Like, we were kind of reminded of when we saw Vitriol live the last time, how insanely heavy that band is and insanely dissonant, and how we kind of just left that one as like, man, Vitriol was good, but I don't remember anything. It's like my mind was wiped, and I was just in a trance the entire time.
Well, because I remember during part of that set, too, I remember both of us kind of looked at each other like we lost the groove, and we were like,
what's going on?
Where are we in the song?
Yeah.
What's happening? Like, it was...
How did I get here?
It was insane. But yeah, this was kind of like that, at least for the first couple songs, where it felt a little disjointed, and like, just that solid wall of dissonance without the more focus on like groove sections to break it up a little bit. I was just like, whoa.
Yeah, because I mean, generally when they kind of do the whole like just bending breakdown with like a dissonant tag, like it works. Like that's a really cool part of their sound. But when it gets like too atonal, like again, like Alterage, I'm kind of on the fence about. It kind of loses me. And the fact that there are 2 interludes on here, which I don't think are necessarily bad, and it adds to the creepy horror element to this, because this does sound like creepy, suspenseful, just nightmare fuel.
Yeah, the whole vibe of this record is grossly unsettling.
But it does it, like, musically. Like, there's still hooks. Like, this is not Portal. Portal is just a fucking walking nightmare dressed in a fucking grandfather clock. But there's so much atmosphere in the music itself. Like, I almost feel like the interludes were kind of unnecessary. But still, overall, I thought this was pretty fucking solid. Like, this is just evil sounding, and we generally like evil sounding music.
We get a lot of that at Thralls of Metal. We pretty much lay comfortably in the vein of unsettling music.
Yeah.
Overall, though, I'm going to give this record 3.5 stars. First of all, I thought this record showed a lot of maturity and improvement from their EP, again, which wasn't bad, but the production this time around is way more clear and concise, and it's got some low end to it. It's clear and you can hear everything. The songs that are really good on here, mainly everything after the first 2 songs, in my opinion, are really fucking solid. They know how to write groove, they know how to definitely write dissonance, and they know how to put the 2 of them together in such a way that really comes out for a pretty horrifying, nasty listening experience. If you're a fan of things, again, like Ulcerate and Gorguts and Immolation and Cathexis and Nightmare, you're probably really, really gonna dig this album. I recommend fully going out and checking it out. Phil told me it's only on Bandcamp right now because Spotify is all fucky, so go over to Bandcamp and hook yourself up with a new copy of Ignominy.
I am going to go with a 3. 3 stars. I think this is really good. In my first experience with this band, I think when they blend the dissonance and the riffs with a touch of melody, they're fucking awesome. Viscera, I think, is just a giant standout track. Nightmare, Bacteria, and Reminiscence of Hatred both are excellent as well. It's just when they kind of lay on the dissonance, again, I like dissonance as a seasoning versus like kind of the main thing, and a lot of this is very dissonant and atonal, and that can be kind of difficult to get into. Like, yes, it definitely sets the atmosphere, it makes it sound creepy, it makes it sound unsettling and almost inhuman at times. But I need, like, you know, riffs to really kind of latch onto it to kind of like draw me in more, and when they did that, I was fucking in it. Like, this was really fucking good. When it kind of got off that, it was like, well, I mean, this is good, but I can't really make sense of it, and it doesn't really draw me in as much. But overall, I think this is really good. It's dark, strange, unsettling. The transitions can be wild and jarring, but it's kind of that right kind of wild and jarring where, like, yeah, I want some unexpected surprises. I mean, again, if you're a fan of bands like Nightmare, Vitriol, Immolation, definitely later Gorguts for damn sure. And I would say Ulcerate and Alterage, like those bands in particular, you are going to like this. This is going to be your new thing to put on at a party where you want people to leave, especially if they don't like that kind of shit. Like if they, oh, you know, I listen like a little bit of Breaking Benjamin when I'm getting squirrely. It's like, oh no, cool. I'm going to put this on and let's see if you actually stand the building.
Don't hand me the aux cord at a party. Or do.
Let's get adventurous. Let's get squirrely. Yep. Let's listen to all of Gorguts' discography tonight.
Give me access to your Bluetooth speaker. Do it.
But yeah, this is really solid, and yeah, I look forward to checking out more, and I might actually snag this on Bandcamp. So, if you enjoyed this review, give it a thumbs up, and if you're new to the channel, subscribe, because we do stuff like this all the time. We are also on Patreon. If you'd like to help us out there, there's a link down below to thrallsmetal.com. Our Patreon link is there, as well as our store. We will be reloading on different merch at some point. Probably sometime after the Denver Death Fest.
On April 20th through the 22nd, Thralls of Metal will be hosting the first ever Denver Death Fest at the King Room, of course, in Denver, Colorado. 3 days, 28 bands, a pretty fucking stacked bill considering it was our first time doing this. $60 for 3 days, $45 for 2 days, or $25 just simply for 1 day. If you want to come out to any of those days, please do. We will all be there.
I'll be drinking.
Yeah. I probably will have a beverage. I probably will sample some of Colorado's finest herbage, so to speak. Anyway, yeah. Thank you to all our sponsors. Thank you to our vendors. Thank you to everybody that's been a part of this. Thank you to the bands that have signed on to this. And I just figured out we're going to have some really awesome food trucks. So that'll be nice if you like to eat along with your beverages. But anyway, yeah, please come out and join us. It stands to be a pretty goddamn good time. We need to book some flights.
That we do. And of course, thank you all so much for liking, subscribing, following, all that jazz. Yes, the thank you part, we're all awkward and weird, but that's just kind of our standard fucking gear. Like, we just kind of hang out there.
We're awkward and strange people.
But we love you guys. And it's amazing doing this. It is amazing getting the feedback we do. It's just great getting out here, talking to you guys, going over some killer music, trying to spread the word about, like, killer fucking bands. We got a ton of content planned for you. You know, we're already going to kind of start working on the next ranking, which is Immolation, which, Jesus Christ, that's going to be tough to rank. But, man, it's going to be fun to listen to because...
Yes, it is.
I love all those albums.
I'm very excited.
So, yeah, looking forward to that one. And, of course, one more big thank you because you all fucking rule. And we will catch you later.